Matthew, it's a very, very good question. Obviously, as a coaching staff, we've looked collectively and also individually in terms of different departments in terms of what we can fix. I think if you look at the game overall, I think there was really some good outcomes, especially in the first half, in terms of our tactical and technical execution. Obviously, we couldn't proceed with that in the second half. So obviously, the first things first is that we have to look for an 80 minutes performance in our next game. We identified different areas in terms of our kicking game, our discipline, also in terms of better execution, in terms of our set pieces, and then better decision making, things that I think we are able to fix. And we had a thorough and a collective discussion with that amongst ourselves as coaching staff and also with the players. And I think we're looking forward to this week to ensure that we correct those mistakes.
Deon, can we just explore the set piece? I mean, clearly a tactic from the Lions not to kick the ball out. The maul, such a regular launch pad for the Springboks, you hardly got an opportunity, and when you did, it was dealt with.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Lions were very smart in terms of not giving us lineouts, ensuring that we had to field high balls and then put us under pressure. Obviously, in terms of our exit plays, I think when we had lineouts, it's one thing from a lineout perspective, winning the ball, but ensuring that you provide a solid platform and ensuring that you give good delivery. So that is an area of aspect that we can improve on. So yeah, we didn't get a lot of attacking options. Hopefully we will work to be in a better position in terms of that. But then also obviously very important, whether it's a scrum or a set piece within our own half, we have to ensure that our execution is exceptional in order to give us territory advantage and to apply pressure on the opposition.
Yeah, and notwithstanding the second half performance, can we just explore how important it was for a number of players to get 60 to 80 minutes of test match rugby at that level of intensity, given the disruption to preparation and the lack of game time?
No, definitely. I think, and it's not to make excuses, but if you go back and you look at the amount of minutes that the players that played have actually played, and also in terms of how many games we actually had to properly prepare for this test match in relation to the 5 games preparation and also the other competitions that the Lions players have played in, that it actually, at the end of the day, it does play an important role. I mean, match fitness is absolutely important in order to execute your plans at a high intensity and with accuracy on this level. So yeah, once again, I think definitely that was a factor, but it's important. You must actually sort of tap the players on their shoulder in terms of what they brought over those minutes that they were on the field, the intensity and the physicality that they played with in the first half and for the long periods of the game, and then actually losing the game actually so narrowly despite that. So yeah, definitely I think a great effort from the guys despite all the challenges that we had.
And final one from me, Deon. Jacques spoke last week in naming the side about the incredible depth available in the front row. It certainly looked like a premeditated decision to have the starting front row for 40 and the bench front row for 40. Would you do things differently if you had it again, given the performance that the starting front row gave in the first 40 minutes?
No, I think I'm not sure whether that was a premeditated decision on its own. I think first of all, congratulations to Ox and the starting Fango and Munambi and Trevor in terms of their performance in that first half. I think it was exceptional. Obviously, at halftime, through the medical staff and the conditioning staff, there were a few niggles. Ox had a neck injury, complained about a neck niggle. I think Bongi complained about a hamstring injury. And I think with all those things in mind, the coaching staff made a decision in terms of what's the best thing to do in that specific situation. I think based on the performance of the front row and how they really emptied their tank and put everything on the field in that first half, we would have liked to continue with them in terms of that. But circumstances at the end of the day led to us making that decision, and I think it was the right decision at that specific time.
Thank you, Deon. Thank you, Rayon. If I could return later for Afrikaans. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Matthew Pierce of SuperSport. And we're going to move on swiftly. Good morning, Nathan. You're up next.
Good morning, Ray. I'm Coach Deon. This is Nathan speaking. Matthew mentioned the work-ons and what needs to be fixed. Sticking to the forwards department, will we be expecting any personnel changes for this weekend's fixture? Then the last part of the question, please do give us a broad review of both front row pairs' performance, as you had roughly 36 hours to analyze the game.
Just your first things first. I think we're still in the period 48 hours after the game to assess all the injuries and looking at the possibilities in terms of this week. Obviously, it's continuity and in our performance and in our selection is an important thing. So that will be obviously be big considerations. But obviously also we will look in terms of where can we be better and have to assess it against the background in terms of assessing our systems, our skills, and also the effort of the players. Based on that, obviously, we will then collectively make a decision in terms of what is the important thing for this, what is the important thing for this week, and what players will fit that scenarios the best. Obviously, in terms of our front row, we know that we have world-class players in the front row. I mean, Stephen Kitshoff, Frans Malherbe, and Malcolm Marx have all been phenomenally in the World Cup and in the games that they've played. We know what contributions they can bring from the bench. Obviously, they were also challenged in the past few weeks, looking back with COVID-19 and had to adapt in terms of their preparation. Just also, if you look at Oxlade, Trevor Nyakane and Bongi and Munambi, overall, I think all 6 of them are world-class players, and a new guy like Ox coming in doing so exceptionally well. It shows the depth that we have in those positions, and I think going forward where we are now, it's going to be important that we ensure that all of them are involved and get that game time behind them in order to excel and contribute to what better performance for our team.
Thank you, Coach Deon, and we welcome Ken Borland.
Thanks, Rayon. Morning, Deon and Stephen. Deon, the Springboks obviously looked in control of the first half, and then in the second half that obviously turned around. There's obviously a lot of focus on the kicking game, putting the Springboks under pressure in the second half. But where does the forward effort factor into that? Does it start up front that then allows the Lions to execute their kicking game to put you guys under pressure?
Yeah, obviously, I mean, you gotta have a solid base in the lineouts, in the scrums, because if you have that solid base, it allows you to execute better. It puts you on the front foot. You can play towards your plan. If one things go wrong, it influences the kick, it influences the attack, and obviously it influences then your energy expenditure in terms of how you execute stuff. So everything has got a ripple effect. So from a set piece point of view, as I said, it's important that we provide a solid base, a solid platform, The Lions did challenge us in those specific areas. They, whether it's legal or illegal, they're streetwise in terms of what they do there. We just from our point of view have to handle it better, have to make better plans, come up with solutions in order to how to improve in terms of that. Those are obviously things that we look at, and from there on, I mean, individually and as a collective, we will try to be better in different areas.
Thank you, Deon. Good morning, Craig Ray.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, Deon and Stephen. Deon, just the South Africa A, both games and the first test, South Africa lost the second half. And that's for fairly obvious reasons. You've mentioned conditioning and so on due to COVID setbacks. But what can you do about conditioning in a week between tests, given that you haven't really had a base to work from, as you would in a normal season? So what I'm saying is your tactic to look at some other way. You can't really get that much fitter in 5 days, can you? Will the approach be to improve other aspects, mental and technical, rather than conditioning in the short turnaround?
No, obviously, I think the minutes played and the way we handle ourselves in this game obviously is a positive for us in terms of being involved in a very tight and intense and physical game. Obviously, we have to be we can be better in terms of our execution. We can be smarter, and obviously if we those areas, obviously we put ourselves in a better position, and that can help us to get into better places on the field. And if we use our opportunities better, that can also create more opportunities for us and can assist us in terms of getting a better result.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deon. And we say good morning to Nick Heath.
Good morning. Thanks, Rayan. Deon, 11 penalties conceded by the Springboks forwards compared to the Lions 5. It's over double in terms of discipline. How damaging has that been, do you think, in reviewing the performance? And is a week long enough to turn that around and iron those out?
Now, our discipline, I think, obviously we took a hard look at the penalties that we've conceded. We've disappointed in the sense that we've conceded so much penalties, especially in the second half. Obviously, it's also important to have a clear picture in terms of whether we were at fault or whether it might be a 50-50 or tight decisions in terms of that. So obviously, once you assess that and have a clear picture in terms of that, you want to improve and take accountability towards that. I think the players at this level is professional and experienced enough to understand that ill discipline will cost you games. And whether it was an individual mistake or whether it was a collective mistake that contributed towards that is things that we will definitely clarify and ensure that we improve in terms of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will. And Brendan Nell, you up next?
Yes. Morning, Deon. Morning, Stephen. Deon, just on the stats say that you guys only had 4 lineouts in that entire game. Just how much of a disruption was it to your plans? The fact that you guys didn't have that basis of having that rolling maul or having your lineouts to set up your plays. That's the first question. And the second question is, there was obviously quite a bit of controversy with some of the calls on Saturday. We've seen Rassie retweet some interesting calls as well. Just your thoughts on the officials, and will you be discussing that with the refs on this week when you're meeting with them?
Yeah, Brendan, obviously part of our build up to a game is always to have clear discussions to the referee about interpretations in certain areas of the game, which we did and which we will always do. I think that is important in order to get the fluency and clarity in terms of our preparation and what we want to achieve in the game. So I think that is part of the build up. And then secondly, obviously, yes, you want to play from a good set piece. You plan to make plans in the opposition half in order to outsmart them. And obviously, if you don't get that opportunity, it just leaves you with unstructured attack. from turnover balls or from scraps, as we call it. So yeah, it's not ideal to have that. I don't know if 4 lineouts in a test match it's a new world record. You will ever get that, but that happened in this game. I just think that we maybe could have used the opportunities that we had from that better. That is something that we look at, but yeah, it does have an influence.
Okay, we'll go on to Will Callahan.
Hi, if I could have 2 questions, please. The first one for Deon, just following up from Brendan's question about Razzie's tweets. What do you make of those? I mean, it's quite rare in rugby that you see a director of rugby criticising refereeing decisions on social media. What do you make of that?
Sorry, but I'm completely unaware of any social media comments. I'm not on social media. From the start, you can understand if you lose a specific game as an assistant coach, it becomes very important that you zoom into your specific area and make a contribution in terms of the technical and tactical plans going forward for the team. So that is at the stage where my focus was and still is. So I'm totally unaware about the tweets that you talk about.
Okay, and the second question for Stephen, if that's all right. Warren Gatland said that South Africa would be incredibly desperate now. You've lost the first test, but isn't certain you can raise a game twice to beat the Lions. Is your pride dented? And what would you say to Warren's comments there?
Yeah, I think we had a hard look at the game, all the players and including the management, and we had our review this morning. So looking back at the game, I think the Lions did really well to take away some of South African strong points, and there's a lot of work on in the week that we'll try and iron out and fix. But South Africans as a country and as people know how to fight back and how to stand up stronger. So it's going to be a big week for us, and we know what's at stake. So it's going to be a lot of work that's been put into our set piece and our kicking game and just the way we approach this weekend's game.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, Stephen. And our next up is Craig Lewis. Good morning, Craig.
Morning. Thanks, Ray. Deon, you mentioned earlier there were a couple of injury niggles at halftime. Anything to worry about? Do you have a full squad available for selection this week?
The medical staff is still assessing the players, and I think during the day tomorrow we will get more clarity on who's available and who's not. Currently, we approach the game as if everyone is available, but as I said, we will have more clarity as we later on in the day tomorrow.
Thank you. And we go to another round of questions. And Ken, you're up next.
Thanks, Sean. Stephen, just for you, in the first half, as I said before, the Springboks certainly looked in control of the game, but in the second half, that was kind of taken away from you guys. From a forwards perspective, who was actually on the field for that second half, what do you think went wrong for you guys?
Yeah, I think first off, we were tactically and technically very good. Got our scrum going, got a couple of penalties. Second half, I'm not 100% sure what went wrong, but we couldn't get proper go forward in the scrum, and our lineup the one line we had got badly disrupted, and the Lions put a lot of kicking pressure onto us. It's something we as individual players look at. We take a lot of pride. Me personally, and I think France and Malcolm as well, take a lot of pride in the scrum. So it's something we want to go forward in, and we want to put the team on the front foot. And we know we got work on this week and individual battles we need to face that will put the team in a greater position at the end of the day.
Thank you. Matthew Pierce from SuperSport. I know that you will take Deon later on for an Afrikaans response, but do you have a question to Stephen?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. I'll also do an Afrikaans one for Stephen, but at the back end. Kitsy, just the scrum performance in the second half. So if you could just reflect on two topics. One is the field, and we saw the field cutting up quite a bit, but in the second half, both packs seemed absolutely rock solid, that nobody was getting a single centimetre. And the call of use it at the back of the scrum was pretty quick. Were you at any stages looking for a second surge at scrum time? If you could comment on the field, and then just also perhaps with the tongue firmly in the cheek, have you ever seen a scrum penalty conceded as it was in the first half for an opposition flanker scrumming in on a loose head? Thanks.
Yeah, Matt, I think the field does cut up a lot, and it is difficult to as soon as your feet are planted and there's some pressure coming, the field does give away and it becomes very slippery. So there is things that we work on in the way we want to scrum that prevents that slipping. Having all eight guys studs in the ground helps a lot, and then just commenting on a scrum penalty for position flank scrumming into our props. It is something that's missed, and I felt we definitely had to go forward on that scrum, putting line scrum under a bit of pressure, but it's one of those calls that can go either way. And yeah, the scrums in the second half was rock solid. Early calls of use it where me, myself, and France felt like we had a bit of go forward or started feeding the cracks. And then the call comes from the ref to use it. I understand the ref he doesn't want resets, so it's part of the game, and we just have to find solutions to get that go forward a bit quicker if we want it.
Thank you. I'll come back at the end.
Sure, we're going to move on swiftly. Two more questions in English, and then we move on to a very brief Afrikaans section at the end. Nick Heath, you're up again.
Thank you. Hi, Stephen. Just a chance really for a more broad reflection. What do you feel when you're getting together with the rest of the forwards this week? What's your focus on where you feel you need to turn things around ahead of this huge second test?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest work-ons is definitely around the line-out set piece. We sat this morning with Coach Deon, and we discussed some of the areas where I personally slipped up a couple of times where I made big errors, and that didn't help the team at all. So it's a big work-ons for us as a pack of forwards to get around that and come up with solutions quickly. And they always say 7 days in your lifetime is short, but in rugby terms it's quite a long time. So there's a lot of time to fix the things that we can and take into control what we need to as a team, as a pack of forwards.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Gavin Rich, good day, sir.
How's it, Ryan? Sorry, I haven't been on for a while, so I don't know how to use this thing. I just want to ask Stephen. Stephen, you were part of the Springbok World Cup winning squad. Well, this World Cup winning team, and in that campaign, you lost your first game, which is also a very important one against the All Blacks, and then you came back and you won the tournament. So my question to you is how different is it? I mean, how do you guys feel? Because we had face-to-face contact with you guys immediately after that game, and I could sort of sense a sort of steely determination. I'm talking about after the the All Black game in Yokohama in 2019, and I could almost feel then that you'll set it right. But we haven't had a chance to sort of see you this time because of COVID and everything. How similar or different is it this time compared to how you felt after that game in 2019? I'm talking about the All Black opening game, obviously.
Yeah, it's a similar feeling. Actually, if you think about it, losing with 5 points at the end of the day, and actually some things just didn't go our way, and we struggled in certain areas very badly. So I think there's still a good positive vibe in the team that's really it's a lot of energy, and I know the guys are, and me personally as well, is we're very disappointed in the result. But as South Africans, as a team, as a country, we know how to fight back. We know how to get ourselves up off the ground and start building towards the next one. Me personally, very excited for this challenge that's ahead. I know it's going to be 2 big games, and starting with this one on Saturday. I know the team's going to be excited, prepped, and frothing to play a great game of rugby.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Kevin. And the final question in English goes to Craig Ray.
Thanks, Ray. Stephen, just in a weird way, there's been a lot of talk about altitude and the test being switched to Cape Town, which takes away an advantage for the Springboks. But do you think in a weird way, because of your lack of sort of game time and preparation, that not going to altitude will actually be a benefit to the Springboks this time around as well?
Yeah, it's still thinking about going through our conditioning camp and building up to the games. We knew the 2 test matches at altitude is going to be tough for both teams, just due to the lack of conditioning and for them the lack of altitude experience. But playing Cape Town, it creates a quicker, faster game, which probably suits our outside backs, suits them, and it's just for entertaining rugby. It's I think conditioning wise, there's a bit more oxygen, so breathing is a bit easier. But I think playing in Cape Town just creates a bit more energy in the game, and guys don't get flustered or run out of oxygen too quickly. So it's going to be entertaining for the full 80 minutes.
Thank
you very much. I think it's over to you then.
Can we go Afrikaans now, Ray?
Yes, you may. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Deon, as ek met jou kan begin asseblief. Die Bokke se sterkpunt is lyn staan, dryfbewegings. Daar was nie baie geleentheid Saterdag nie, en toe julle wel die kans gekry het julle gesukkel. Hoe voel jy oor die lynstane en die dryfbeweging?
Ja, Matthew, ek dink alle eerlikheid, ons het vanoggend gepraat toe ons spel hersien het en saamgestem dat dit is iets om die bal te wen in die lyn staan, maar dit is ook belangrik vir ons om te sorg dat ons 'n soliede fondasie skep waarvan jy kan skop of dat jy met kwaliteit besit gee vir jou agterlyn om aan te val. Ons het 1 lynstaan gehad, 2 lynstane gehad op die aanval, 1 wat ons oorgegooi het, 1 wat ons van 'n mol af kon speel, waar ons nie behoorlik al ons rolle vertolk het of vervul het soos dit kan doen nie. En daaroor het ons reguit gesprek gehad in terme van waar ons kan verbeter. En natuurlik ook op die verdediging, waar ons 'n soliede platform moet skep vir ons 9 of ons 10, ons agterlyn nog aan te skop. Het ons ook nie heeltemal na wense gepresteer nadat ons die bal gewen het nie. So dit is definitief areas wat ons besig is om uit te stryk, maar ek is vol vertroue na ons gesprek vanoggend, en met die ervaring wat ons in ons span het, dat ons regstellings kan doen in terme van dit.
En Deon, daar is verseker baie agterskermswerk wat in so 'n groot toets ingaan. Is die vertoning Saterdag wat julle as 'n afrigtingsspan verwag het van die Bokke en van die Leeu's?
Ja, Matthew, jy weet, as 'n afrigtingsspan stel ons natuurlik baie hoë standaarde, en ek dink die spelers stel ook baie hoë standaarde vir hulself. En as jy 'n wedstryd verloor het, natuurlik gaan jy stil sit en dink en dat jy nie heeltemal daaraan voldoen het nie. So ek dink ons was heeltemal tevrede natuurlik met die manier hoe ons begin het en hoe ons in die eerste helfte druk op die opponente gesit het met die intensiteit en fisiekheid waarteen ons gespeel het. Maar ek dink in die tweede helfte het ons so 'n bietjie die voet van die pedaal afgehaal en ons 'n bietjie in die steek gelaat in verskillende areas waaroor ons gepraat het. En ek dink individueel is daar standaarde wat ons op kan verbeter en verhoog. as 'n kollektiewe eenheid. Dink ek ook as voorspelers en as agterspelers is ons baie krities in terme van elkeen se bydrae en ons hou by ons plan en ons dinge uitvoer met betrekking tot ons stelsel. Ja, so dit is dinge wat ons definitief sal uitstrek in hierdie week en sal poog om te lewe om op te lewe aan daai standaarde toe wat ons vir onsself stel.
Deon, ons het spesifiek oor die lynstaande gepraat, maar die algehele vertoning van die voorspelers is jy gelukkig?
Matthew, as jy gaan as jy gaan kyk na die wedstryd, dan sal jy sien dat die spelers definitief probeer baie hard. Veral gegeewe, soos ek voorheen genoem het, die uitdagings met COVID-19 wat vooraf gegaan het en wat natuurlik besonderse uitdagings bring in terme van hulle kondisionering en hulle wedstrydfiksheid. Maar ek dink nie daar was een oomblik op die veld waar ek gevoel het dat die speler nie sy beste probeer het nie. Ek dink nie as jy die Springbok trui aantrek dat jy iets sal doen waar jy nie sal poog om te lewe of om 'n vertoning te lewer wat hoë standaarde uitstraal nie. En ek dink natuurlik daar is altyd plek vir verbetering in verskillende areas. Maar ek is vol vertroue dat hierdie spelers verantwoordelikheid sal vat. Ek dink ons die groot ding van die Springbok span is dat ons 'n kollektiewe benadering het. Maar ons as afrigters na onsself kyk in terme van wat het ons goed gedoen, wat het ons verkeerd gedoen. Ons deeglik ons plan assesseer en dat saam met die spelers verantwoordelikheid vat in terme van hoe ons kan verbeter. En ek dink as jy so 'n kollektiewe benadering het en jy is bereid om aan te pas en openlik en eerlik te wees, dan sal jy by die regte resultaat uitkom.
Baie dankie Deon. 'n Paar vrae vir Kitsie. Rye, is dit okay?
Ja, gaan voort, dankie.
Kitsie, dit baie fisies gelyk. Hoe het dit gevoel? Ons het mense hoe sê dis 'n proper test match. Het dit so gevoel?
Ja, dit was 'n proper so toets rugby gewees. Elke geleentheid wat daar kontak was voluit. Die duikslaaf was hard, ons die bal gedra het was fisies. Jy kon sien die scrums was solid en lynstaande was ook taai geweest. So die game was baie fisies geweest. Kan sien die ouens het hulle lywe op die spel gesit. Ek dink coach Deon het dit ook genoem. Elke speler het regtig hard probeer om het oor die lyn te trek en ja, dit is dinge waaraan ons gaan moet werk hierdie week. Paar taktiese goedjies en technical goedjies wat ons moet uiteyster, maar ek dink oor die algemeen jy kan die ouens wat die bok trui gedra het en die bal opgedra het of geduik het hulle alles gegee om vir die span 'n goeie resultaat en momentum te kry.
En by die scrum, Steven, wat julle gewag het van die Leeu's, die scrum poging?
Ja, ons het vandag eenaf geweet dat Dag en Carl Sinclair hulle is twee goeie paskoppe en hulle verteenwoordig hulle lande op die boonste level, as ek het so kan stel, en hulle albei is great scrummers, so ons het geweet die scrum uitdaging gaan groot wees en is iets waarna ons uitgesien het en iets waar ons gaan aanhou werk en aanhou keer die soos sê die upper hand kry en aanhou werk om die bokke vorentoe te kry op in daai set piece gedeelte van die game.
Baie dankie manne, baie dankie Ryan.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much, ladies and gents. Thank you, Deon. Thank you, Stephen Kitshoff. That then concludes our first press conference for this week. There's another one tomorrow, and then the team announcement is set for Wednesday. On Thursday, there's a media and training free day. And on Friday, we have the captain's press conference. Ladies and gents, thanks very much. Have a safe day and speak to you tomorrow. Thank you.